Hey everybody, I'm here in the Pace Studio again, and this time I'm with Daniel Brühl to talk about The Alienist. Super excited and very scared. And I do want everyone to notice that we have this head here that's off its body just to make Daniel feel comfortable.
Puts us in the right mood, yeah.
It does put us in the right mood because you're in a very creepy show.
I know.
I don't mind telling you, which I guess you know. I watched the first couple episodes and I did have to go like this.
Yeah, it's pretty
a couple
scary,
times.
Yeah. It's creepy. It's a lot of those guys.
Yeah. Had you read this book before you took the part, or?
No. I mean, it was published in Germany. I live in Germany, so but it's not as well known as it is here. So I hope that will change once the show comes out in Europe. But it's one of these books that I could not put away. It's a page turner. It reminded me of being a 12-year-old with a torchlight under the blanket. You know, it's. I think I read it in one day and one night. There's so many great things about it. So it's obviously a creepy psychological thriller, and it's very dark. But it's also a wonderful, entertaining history lesson about New York in 1896. And there's so much I learned. It's also the beginning of so many things, of sciences, like psychology, for instance. I'm playing this alienist, the psychologist, but it's also the beginning of forensics, of crime psychology. And then Dakota Fanning is playing that wonderful character, Sarah Howard, who is the first woman determined to become the first female detective at the police department. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, I really loved your character because he's so clinical and yet seems to care so much. Like there's like this real balance between like, just like, well, I need to know what part of the body's gone.
Yeah.
And then, but in the same token, and you get so mad about that, and you know, and it's like, what is happening?
Yeah.
But then seems to care so much about the children that you're trying to help.
Yeah, he does.
It's an odd dichotomy.
He's a pain in the ass. Sometimes he's pretty cocky and arrogant, but underneath that, he's a humanistic guy. You know, he really cares for people, as you said, especially for children. And then later in the show, we will find out more about him and why he cares so much about children. So I guess this will become clear. And he also cares about the people he's working with, although he's giving them such a hard time. I mean, he doesn't treat them well, but I guess he loves them.
Yeah, I guess he loves them. I also guess maybe when you're dealing with cut-up children, you take it a little more seriously.
Yeah.
As we laugh.
It is, yeah. No, it's pretty unpleasant. I mean, it's pretty gruesome. But I was always into darkness, even when I was a teenager. And again, it reminded me of reading about Jack the Ripper or Jekyll and Hyde or Edgar Allan Poe or Sherlock Holmes. So I love the darkness. And my wife does, and she's a psychologist for real. She's the best shrink in the world, and she was totally into it. Thank God she doesn't have to, study dead bodies and has serial killers as patients, but she was totally into it.
That's really amazing. So could you bounce ideas off of her? As
yes,
far as
I did.
Planning a character?
Absolutely, yeah. She supported me all the way through. She was the best advisor. She put me in touch with psychologists, with criminal psychologists, gave me stuff to read, watched dailies, told me what to do, So and it brought us together. It changed our relationship. I mean, I was always interested and curious in what she does, but as actors, we're always so narcissistic and only thinking and concerned about our own job. And then this brought me closer to her and the fascination about, psychology.
That's lovely. And you're a father. Were you a father when you were filming this?
I was a father, and I'm very sad that my son will only, will watch the show once he's 15. So he's just 14 months old, and sometimes they visited me on set, and he was a baby, but still he could tell that Daddy is looking strange, and then we had these scenes in my laboratory with corpses lying around, and I said to Faye, although he's a baby, just take him away. It's too much for a baby to digest, but yeah.
I was wondering if that impacted your character development at all, too, since you're a father, and these are all children that are...
Yeah. No, it's a big change in life. I mean, it's the best thing that happened to me so far. So you open up yourself, and you care so much for that creature and for children. It opens your eyes, and it changes you. So yeah, that affected, I guess, the process in that show.
I couldn't see how it wouldn't.
Yeah.
I guess that was it. What do you think about 1900s psychology? Did you learn anything about that? Because obviously they show that hospital where people are, you know,
Yeah. Treat it.
they treat them very poorly. And then I think
Yeah.
about how we treat people now. It
Yeah.
really made me kind of think about mental health in general.
I know, but it's still, you know, there's still so much we don't know about the human mind. I mean, it's a fascinating, complex universe, and I guess that's why it took so long for humanity to face that, to get into that. So it's surprising that psychology, which, you know, it has to do with everything we do, you know, because it analyzes our cognition, our behavior, our emotions, was only discovered so late. It was for a long time seen as a branch of philosophy, and I think only in the 1870s, the first psychological laboratory was founded in Germany, of course. And then,
Oh,
all
of
these
course.
guys, these weirdos, Sigmund Freud and all these guys, they were pioneers and considered to be dangerous and crazy and charlatans because, yeah, people were afraid of, you know, talking about what is going on inside of us. And the interesting thing in the show is that, you know, it becomes clear that the evil lies within all of us. So, and my character says at one point in the show, it just depends on the circumstances of how you grow up. And what you're living, experiencing in your life, that it's, you know, it could make you, capable of doing very horrible things. So, and so he tries to see the human being behind those vicious murders.
Yeah. Ooh. Still, it's a lot. Now, you've done a lot of film.
Mm-hmm.
This is, TV's not your typical
No,
genre.
not at all, no.
What was it like taking something that usually would be a 2-hour form? You know, usually make a book into a movie.
Yeah.
How was it taking something into this longer format?
It was great. It's such a privilege. It would have been very sad to thin it out and melt it down to 2 hours because it's such rich material. This book is fascinating. So we had the luxury of time, of having 10 hours to explore these compelling characters to the core and, you know, dive into that great universe of Caleb Carr. And I enjoyed it. I mean, it was, and you get very emotionally attached to your character. It was very sad on the last day to go into my trailer and put the hat down and get out of my car and say bye, because also I had so much fun with Dakota and Luke. The chemistry was incredible from the very first moment on. We enjoyed so much working with each other and working with different directors as well. Kept you fresh because you always had to adapt to a new style. And it was a great experience. I would do it again.
Well, that's good to know. Should be a sequel.
Who knows?
You never know with TV. That's the beauty of it.
You never know, yeah.
You can do all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, what was it like, I've seen Inglourious Basterds, you're kind of the bad guy, and this one you're kind of the good guy finding a bad guy. Do you like those kinds of changes? Is
Absolutely,
it fun?
yeah. It has to be diverse. It has to be always a new challenge. Otherwise, it can become very boring.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, first of all, the challenge of it being, you know, a TV show, of, you know, spending so much time with the character was new to me, but great. It felt very rewarding. And also the character, all these layers, all the fascinating journey that he goes through was very compelling. And that's what happens to all the characters. It's also an interior journey where you find out so much about them. Mm-hmm. And again, it would have felt very restrictive and hard to get to a certain point after 10 minutes and then only have another 80 minutes to tell this arc. You know?
Yeah. I wish they'd do more books that way.
Yeah.
Instead of making them,
Into
movies or so many sequels where it kind of loses the person.
Exactly.
You think about that, and they're like, we'll make this one too, and you have to wait a whole year.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, I don't know, just wait and binge them all when I can.
Yeah.
I don't know. You have an interesting background from Berlin and Spain, two places I've never been but want to go.
You have to go. And I have a tapas bar in Berlin.
You do?
Yeah. You have to come and I'm going to invite you to some tapas and some nice...
So you took your Spanish food to...
I did,
Really?
yeah, 8 years ago. I missed Spain so much, and since I moved out from my, mother's house, where she always cooked the most wonderful Spanish food, I was missing that. And me and my friends from Spain thought, like, living in Berlin, thought like, oh, we just let's open a tapas place.
Oh my goodness. What's your favorite kind of tapas?
Oh God, so
Like, what would you recommend if I come to visit and I come to your place?
Chipirones. I just love all what is, seafood. So squid, octopus. Well, I see you don't like. There's also some vegetarian options. Some ham.
I could do it. I could do it. I'm sure it's cooked a way that my fried southernness would like it.
I'm sure we'll find something for you.
Sorry, I can't help natural reactions. I wish I was one that could hide my natural reactions. It is not a gift that I was given from my mother. It was not.
Well, then, tataki of the Presa Iberica, which is the patanero, is the best meat and ham in the world. I think it's that we really have the best ham. I mean, there's a lot of things that I would say the Italians are the best, the French are the best. The southern cuisine in the States is fantastic. When I shot Captain America in Atlanta, I discovered that for the first time, and New Orleans became one of my favorite places in the world. And it was such a sensational experience of having all these new flavors and incredible dishes. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, Atlanta's
fried buttermilk, fried chicken.
Yeah, buttermilk. Wow. They soak it in it.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. So you're kind of
one thing I never dared was chicken and waffles. This is a very weird combination, I have to say, because we're big in waffles.
Yeah.
In Germany, well, the Belgians are, but we too. And but combining it with chicken, how is it?
It's good.
Yeah.
There's nothing not to like. Well, you would eat French fry, maybe with chicken.
Yeah.
It's similar.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah. Well,
it's a little weird, but I'll try your squid.
Okay.
You can try a chicken and waffle. I live near Atlanta, so we could do a movie there again.
Fantastic.
I can hook you up. Which, by the way, Captain America, I have a 13-year-old and 10-year-old boys, so they're going to think I'm very cool.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
You've given me cool points. I'm very thankful for it.
Yeah.
So in Berlin, isn't that like a real filmy kind of city? You think of a film festival there.
Yeah, it's a great city.
Did you get involved there first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I grew up in Cologne, in West Germany, which is nice, but not as exciting as Berlin. So I moved to Berlin 17 years ago, and it was good because I met, the guys that I needed to meet, and there's a good music scene, film scene. There's a lot going on culturally. I mean, there's a very vibrant city. And it's nice because it's not as gentrified as other places. So we have that slightly different system in Germany where you don't have the capital where everybody goes to. Oh. Like in England, it's London and Paris and so on. But in Germany, it's, the money is elsewhere. So it's in Munich or Stuttgart or Frankfurt or Hamburg. So it's in Berlin is more about politics and media and stuff. And that's nice because by that, the city maintains its edge and, subversive, anarchistic flavor.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah. You have to come again. You have to, I'll show you around.
I remember the wall when I was a kid.
Yes, there's still the wall. The wall is still there. You can
see it. But I guess when I think of Berlin, that's the first
pretty
thing
much
that
it.
comes to mind. Well, as a child, that was very formative.
No, that's what makes it interesting. No,
yeah.
and I'm kidding, but it's true. That's what makes the city so unique that you can still see the differences between East and the West. There's some streets in the East near where I live where you think you're in Russia. It looks like Russia. Yeah. Karl Marx Allee. It looks like you're driving around in Moscow or whatever. And so you have these two faces in one city. Makes it interesting.
Oh, wow. And it's not gentrified. I love it.
Well,
not as much.
Well, where I live, of course, it is gentrified. All these bloody Westerners from West Germany who moved out there to be, in the cool east of Berlin. So it has changed. No, it has. But not
and there's a
to
tapas
a degree.
bar.
There's a tapas bar now, that annoying actor. So, but other than that, there's still places and spots that are pretty original and unique.
Yeah. I love it. Tell me about what people can look forward to with The Alienist as far as, is it going to come to a good conclusion?
Yes. Well, sort of. Yeah,
Does
no,
the
it will.
gore continue? Because I've only
Yeah.
seen the first 2 episodes.
No, the gore is going to become more, but it's going to be it's going to be exciting. Honestly, it's and the thing about this show is that it's so incredibly authentic, and this is such a privilege when you're given the chance to time travel in my job. Again, it makes you feel like a 12-year-old. It was mesmerizing when I arrived in Budapest. The effort, the passion they put into this project is quite remarkable because. I come from movies where sometimes, doing a period film, you get a script and on a page it says 50 carriages and 500 extras and whatnot, and then you arrive on set and it is 1 carriage with a 3-legged horse and 2 extras, and you're supposed to recreate that time because there's just not the money and the possibilities to do it properly. So in this case, they recreated Gilded Age New York, and it was very bizarre for me to walk around New York these last couple of days and to walk down the very same streets we recreated in Budapest. So Mulberry Street, 1896, where everything about it felt real, and also the costumes and the props. No matter what you touched, it felt real. Well, also that,
real.
including that. Yeah. No, there were some shooting days when the first corpse I saw, I was like, oh God, this is very, very creepy. But I think this quality will be seen. And the characters are great. I think people will engage with the story. Also, you learn so much about politics at the time, the corruption within the police department. So you have great villains in the show.
The Roosevelt.
A great killer in the show.
Oh.
So, but I cannot say too much. I'm a
no,
master in
don't-
spoiling things. So
I will say that's why I didn't read the book ahead of this interview,
Yeah.
is because I didn't want to accidentally spoil or something. I only know very little. But I will
That's
say
good.
this
That's
too,
good.
as gory as it is,
Yeah.
it's very beautiful, which
Yeah.
I know sounds weird, but the cinematography is lovely. You do feel like
Yeah.
you're watching a high budget movie.
Yeah, and I love that period in time because and the show explores all the diversity in the city, also socially speaking. I mean, we go from the neighborhoods of the Vanderbilts and Roosevelts and J.P. Morgans to the most rotten holes and the tenements where the immigrants lived like sardines, like 50 of them in one room, and so the show captures that all. But you're right, there's a lot of beauty about that. I mean, and we found locations in Budapest which were absolutely fascinating. It's another place you should visit in case you haven't been.
I'm Hungarian. I'd really like to go.
You are Hungarian?
Yeah, my mom.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Immigrants came in that time
right.
period.
Yeah. Oh,
The-
wow.
the-
And
the
my
show
character
is-
is Hungarian German.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
so from the name.
Yeah,
Laszlo
and I
Chrysler.
had to learn one scene in Hungarian, and I'm happy that it's still in the show because that was the hardest day for me. I had to, and this language, I mean, if German is funky, Hungarian is uber funky. I mean, it took me a couple of days to learn that one line. But no, it's a fascinating place, and it was perfect for our purposes in recreating, especially upper class New York. So we found incredible villas and mansions, and the Opera House is the most beautiful in the world. And then Delmonico's, that restaurant, which is very important in the show. We shot it in a library, but you will see, I mean, you've seen it. These locations were just incredible.
Yeah, I loved it. And I love that time period because I think a lot of Americans can really relate to immigrants. A
Right.
lot of our families started in New York in
Right,
that era.
yeah.
A lot of people
Yeah.
came over. I always think about it when I come and I
Yeah.
think, oh,
And it is when
my
I
great-grandparents lived in this
Yeah.
tenement place.
And when I come
Interesting.
here, I find this so fascinating about America in general, but especially about New York, that you have all these languages, and no matter who has a fascinating story to tell about, ancestors and background. And this is fascinating because we don't have that in Berlin. We don't have that anywhere, maybe in London, but New York, I think, is the place. So that's the beginning of, not the beginning, but, an important time where this melting pot was even exploding more and more because more and more people were coming into the city. And that's so great about just listening to the characters speaking, because we have the Italians, we have the Jewish, we have the German, whatever, Hungarians, and then the Irish, and it's just a fascinating
And then
chapter
somehow
in time.
all of that all works together to make New York, which is what makes it so great. Gilded Age. I love it. Well, thank you so
And the
much.
shoulder pads.
Oh, the shoulder pads were crazy.
I mean, Dakota's costumes are.
Well, that made me think Anne of Green Gables, puffed sleeves. Have you
Yeah.
ever read that book? Maybe not, you're
No.
a guy. Well, a lot of American girls have read Anne of Green Gables. It's a classic. But all she ever wants are puffed sleeves. It's from that same era. And I think that's what I was thinking about when I
Great,
saw
I'll check
Dakota
out
like
that book.
that.
And
You would-
chicken and waffles.
Chicken and waffles, Anne of Green Gables.
Yeah.
And I'm going to come for tapas and squid.
Yeah.
In Berlin. And maybe go to Spain sometime. Barcelona.
Yeah,
Never been
oh
there
yeah,
either.
definitely. Yeah.
I haven't traveled much. I need to travel more.
You have to.
I do. I need to put my Daniel, that's my husband's name, on it
Oh,
and
great.
get traveling.
Cool.
Thank you so much for
Thank
speaking
you.
with
Thanks
me.
for having me. Thank you.
And watch The Alienist.